Hello, and welcome to the new episode of Experience Kills. I'm your host Ben, and with me today I have Rob.
Hello, how's everyone doing?
And I also have Cameron.
Hello.
Strangely delayed, and made me worried that he'd lagged out again. Yeah, we've had some Discord fun and games this morning. It's been hilarious. Don't know what's going on there, but hopefully this will look half decent and sound half decent. Yeah, so that's the plan. How you guys doing? How's everybody feeling on this really sunny, lovely Saturday morning here in the UK? Absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, doing very well, very happy. Yeah.
Is it sunny?
Yes, it's glorious sunshine in Cambridgeshire.
England? What are you talking about?
Where we may or may not be based.
Where Cam lives, there are no windows. He's in the deepest, darkest hole somewhere.
Yes, this is where my parents keep me.
Keep you in a deep, dark hole. Well, that went to a place pretty quick, didn't it, everyone? Yeah, you can tell we're on episode 18 of the Experience Kills podcast, that's for sure.
19, actually.
19, shit.
Yeah.
19, wow.
Our podcast is now old enough in weeks to be able to vote.
We're actually approaching some kind of milestone, I would say, at 20
Yeah.
episodes. I think that's something worth noting.
Celebrating.
I guess, sure. We're approaching a quarter of a way to 100. I guess that's a thing. But how are you doing? What are you guys doing before we get into the? We've got a lot of news today. Lots and lots and lots of news. Lots more news than I expected this week. I have to say, lots of stuff just sort of started piling in, and I've had to cut a bunch just to get it down to a kind of manageable level. But so what have you been up to? Are you caught up on WandaVision, Rob?
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Finally, yes.
Oh my god.
Pam is as well. Fantastic.
Oh, I can't wait for next week. Next week is
Last
amazing.
episode.
Big
Finale.
I'm still curious where Ultron is going to come into it, because he's listed on the cast list for WandaVision, and he's not appeared yet.
No, not even any recaps or anything, has he? So, no, that is a very good point. But, did you start looking at articles regarding the reference at the post-credit scene at the end of the episode and what the significance was?
Yes, that's
I thought you might have done.
Let's not spoil it for everyone who may not be up to date, though.
No, not talking specifics.
Oh, no,
not talking specifics.
The
Absolutely.
whys
It is
and the
very
wherefores
good.
not mentioned. Yeah.
There's some good news from the McFarlane household. Now that a lot of lockdown restrictions are loosening and stuff like that, Dexter is going to be starting his nursery school soon. Yes, which basically means that I'll have free time in the afternoon to play games without being bothered by him banging at the door.
See, what you're saying is you get part of your life back for a few
get
hours
some
a
life
day.
back, yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
I've been dreaming of this for 3 bloody years.
You know how you could have avoided that, don't you?
Yeah.
Just don't have the child.
Just wrap it before you tap.
Yes, but the people who do like having children, of course.
I like the idea. People, what do you like? What's your favorite hobby? I love having children. Honestly, it's the best. I've got 27 now. I'm collecting them.
Ben is clearly very busy at the weekends.
Yeah.
Steady
I
on,
catch them all.
Steady on, Mr. Fritzl.
Wow.
Jesus Christ, Cam. Holy
Oh!
moly. That's a deep reference. I think we should get into the news. I
Yes.
think we've done enough preamble because, frankly, I'm scared of what Cameron's going to say next.
Yes.
So
yes, indeed.
I think it's best we probably focus it up. And okay, so let's get into not the happiest sort of news to kick off the round of news here on the show. Me and Rob, I think all of us were really pretty pumped when this game was announced
Yes.
at E3, which was Hogwarts Legacy, the open world style action, role-playing game in a sort of a Ubisoft mold for Harry Potter, basically set hundreds of years, I believe it is, prior to Harry Potter, but still very much in that mold. And it looks like it's going to be absolutely awesome. However, we've already got issues with a certain J.K. Rowling being a bigoted, semi-Nazi, trans-denying asshole, which already made it difficult to enjoy, Harry Potter. And now we find out that the bloody lead designer on the game led up a bloody Gamergate YouTube channel and also piles on the hate to the minorities and sort of just ignores the fact that, people are different in this world and we should probably embrace that. Really gross, yeah?
The worst thing about this for me, is that WB Games knew.
Yes.
That's the worst bit. Is that fine? If he's going to run those sorts of channels, have those views, I disagree strongly, but fine, free speech, you're allowed your idiocy, right? But the
well,
fact that
it doesn't account. No, hate speech is not covered with
that's
free
fair.
speech.
That is
by
very
the
fair.
way. It's worth
Um,
remembering. But
Yeah,
carry
and
on.
free
The
speech doesn't give you the right to be free of, repercussions of the things you say, unfortunately.
but WB Games seem to be
This is
going,
also
oh, you
true.
had those views, so we're just going to ignore that. That's fine. Come work on our game.
Yeah, this guy
That's-
Troy Levitt, he disclosed. He disclosed this YouTube channel to WB when he was first in the hiring process, and they were cool. But then again, they're cool with making games in an IP created by someone no better. So I mean, it's money. It's money at the end of the day, regardless of Troy, regardless of JK. It's still going to sell gangbusters because so many of the children that will be interested in this, the younger people, won't know about it. We know about it because we're deep in these circles. And most people will never even hear about these issues. You might hear more about J.K. Rowling, but you're never going to hear about this guy, Troy Levitt. And I just think it's indicative of the capitalist world we live in, where it's the mighty dollar will drive these sales, and the popularity of this IP will make sure this is still a huge, huge, huge game for WB.
Thing is, I have a real passive aggressive way round this. Buy pre-owned. Those sales don't get reported to WB Games, and they don't see any of the profit. So you're getting the game that you want to play, and not supporting them at the same time.
How are you going to get a pre-owned game straight away?
Within
Sorry, someone has
2
to
or
buy it
3
first.
days, people buy it complete and trade it in.
I don't like it or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll be out there real quick. But I mean,
Exactly.
that
So
works.
if anything, then it can kind of half the profits if everyone only bought a hard copy. That's the thing.
I think for me the issue is that works absolutely, no doubt. And look, no one here is perfect. Like we have all compromised. I mean, if you think about it, I buy and love Ubisoft games, and Ubisoft just last year went through a massive sort of series of confirmed allegations regarding sexual abuse allegations, inappropriate behavior from their senior people, sort of toxic workplace environment situations and all of that sort of stuff. And I still bought those Ubisoft games. I still bought Assassin's Creed. I still bought Watch Dogs. But I think there is a difference between cogs in the machine and then your
leadership.
Leadership, and also the fact that WB were complicit in this guy, knowing about it. Whereas at Ubisoft, when these allegations came out and the investigations were, completed and these people were found at fault, they were then let go.
Yeah.
So it's like, proactive stuff was taken to counter those issues. But look, that doesn't excuse the fact that I still bought those games. So it's a case of you have to find out where you stand in this, where you feel comfortable. And I think that's why it's important this information gets out there so people can make those informed decisions, isn't it? I mean, I've got a great example of this. When I was growing up, I loved the Ender's Game book. I don't know how much you know about the novel Ender's Game. There was a movie of it. There's a series of books. Absolutely loved that book. Turns out the author, Orson Scott Card, is an awful, awful, awful human being, a complete bigot, homophobe, just like extreme right religious zealot, like an absolute horrible human being. So when I found that out, when that all came out when I was older, guess what? I've never read that book again. I can't go back and read that book because it will color my interpretation of that. I know some huge Harry Potter fans who grew up on Harry Potter who now don't reread the books, don't watch the movies anymore. They can't because of what they've learned about J.K. Rowling. So you have to make those decisions for yourself and draw that line. And sometimes that means, missing out on something you enjoy or maybe even used to love, and it's really unfortunate that, these amazing things can be created, but the creators can be scumbags and awful people. So, information is the important bit, and then making those decisions yourself. It's just a shame because you want to love it. I wanted to play that game, but already with J.K. Rowling and now with this, it's just like I don't think I'm gonna.
For me, I just I'm one of those people that I really don't care. I don't care about the people that have made it. I care about the content that's been created. I'm such an easygoing person. I still listen to music and stuff like that of some people who have gone through, but have committed certain crimes, for example, stuff like that. But it doesn't change the fact that the songs that they've written are still good. or some of the allegations. I believe was it James Gunn that had some problems recently. Doesn't change the fact that some of the movies he's directed were absolutely brilliant.
I think it was Joss Whedon, I think.
It was James Gunn before, but now Joss Whedon is well equipped. Eclipsed that. Joss Whedon's stuff aimed at him has been insane. The allegations he's dealing with right now, and if true, so what you're saying, Cam, and this is valid. So you divorce the two. You kind of
I don't care about the people. I care about yeah. I mean, it's the same as for me. The way it looks is like I could hire a builder to build me a conservatory, and it's a great job. But unfortunately, that guy is like one of the most racist people in my neighborhood for sort of thing, But it's not going to change the fact that he's cheap and efficient, and he's going to build me a conservatory. I don't care about that. I'm not going to hang out with him personally. That's
that's a very fair point. It's appreciating the artist's work for the quality of the work rather than the quality of the artist.
I think for me, it's if you find out after the fact, maybe you can still love what's created. But if you find out, after, before committing, I couldn't do it. I don't want to support them. I don't want to put money in their pocket. And in the example you just said there, Cam, I could never hire that guy. If I knew, it's not, the difference is there. If I knew that he was like that, I would never hire him. However, if it already happened, I'm not going to tear down the conservatory probably. You know what I mean? It's like, that's the way I would see it. It's like, especially if you're dealing with an individual, if you're dealing with a large corporation like Ubisoft, where there are literally thousands of people involved with making that game. And as is the case with, this Harry Potter game, are you going to tar the whole lot of them and sort of want the whole lot of them to lose out because of one person's attitudes and negative things? And I think the biggest problem that we have is that it's kind of been forgiven for so long. You look at Joss Whedon and his toxic work environments that he's supposedly been a big sort of proponent for, be it, inappropriate language or innuendo and stuff like that. The reason he got away with that is because he was making money, and the corporations that have given him the money and therefore making money for themselves were okay with it. So really it needs to be a change from the top down, where WB says, nah, man, you can't have this job because you're a scumbag. And then therefore those creators don't end up in those positions.
By that logic, Hogwarts Legacy shouldn't exist.
Well, yeah, because of J.K. Rowling,
exactly.
Is what you're saying. Yeah, exactly. No, and to a degree, that is a very fair argument. It's that people shouldn't
I'm not disagreeing
want to support. She's made a lot of money out of that licensing deal with Warner Brothers, right? She's made a lot of money. So you're putting money directly into this transphobic person's pocket, and I find that therefore you are kind of tantamount to agreeing with that person's opinion because you are paying them and supporting them in that attitude. And I think the only way people like that learn is to not be supported. And if they then realize, oh, do you know what? Maybe I am in the fucking wrong. And maybe they will change. I think people can change. Education and stuff.
I agree to a point. I don't necessarily believe payment is agreeing. Because I like the Harry Potter license.
It's support,
I like Harry Potter. I'm wearing a Harry Potter t-shirt now that I bought from QWERTY.
You are?
I like what industries have been created around it. I played the Harry Potter Game Boy game on my Game Boy when I first got my Game Boy Color. I've got the books on my shelves. I've got the Blu-rays. I've got all sorts. I love the world that's been created. I don't like the creator, but I still support the Harry Potter world. I'll still go back to Harry Potter Studios. I still want to see Cursed Child on stage one day when theatres are back open again. But I can fundamentally disagree with her views outside of the world of Harry Potter.
Yeah, and this is the thing, like I mentioned, you found out after the fact, and to be honest, her success probably gave her the ability and the confidence that she could come out and say these things because she knows there's no repercussions that can really come back to her. And that unfortunately has, therefore, the support and love of Harry Potter and the money that she has gotten has given her the ability to be an awful human being because she knows she can basically weather any storm and ignore any criticism because she created Harry Potter. And that's that's unfortunate. But you don't know, do you? Because it could be anyone. It could be any creator. Like, who knew, right? Joss Whedon,
Yeah.
the proponent
That
of
hurt.
feminist TV, the guy that basically created all these strong female amazing characters. Turns out he's kind of a pig. At least if they believe some of these allegations, and you have no reason not to believe them. So it's like that's how do you know? You just don't know, do you?
The most worrying and concerning accusation that's been levelled at Joss Whedon for me was the fact that it was just an unspoken thing between the female cast on Buffy, that Michelle Trachtenberg, Faith, I want to say Faith, Faith's character, she was never left alone with him. That's what I don't like. That is what makes me feel most uncomfortable. They don't say why.
No, Michelle Trachtenberg.
Dawn, thank you.
No, Michelle Trachtenberg.
Thank you.
Hope, isn't it?
It's Dawn.
Dawn.
Yeah, Buffy's
Oh,
sister.
Dawn?
Faith is
Who was Hope?
Eliza Dushku. Hope,
it's been a while.
Was
there a character called Hope in Buffy? Did I make that up? I might have made that up.
I think you've made
I
that
watched
one
them a
up.
long time ago.
But I still enjoy.
Oh, that she
the
was
Buffy
never
work.
left alone with him. Is that true?
Yeah,
Because if that's
apparently,
true,
yes.
it's just like, oh my god.
It's something that
Right,
I
that's
think
the worst
Charisma
thing I've heard.
Carpenter shared through her Instagram. Was that it was just an unspoken rule that she was never left alone. But
really
after
good.
one
I think it's time we moved
incident,
on.
Never again. But yeah, talking of further unhappiness in gaming, we have an Illinois rep wanting to ban video games because apparently they're connected to
Yay!
violence. Moron.
It's been a while since we had this story, isn't it?
Oh,
Where politicians wanted to scapegoat violent video games for the ills of society. It used to be comic books, and it was rap music and heavy metal music and like all of that. And that's what's killing people. Guns don't kill people, rappers do.
I remember when Magic the Gathering was linked to Satanism. That was a fun period of time.
Anything people don't understand, man. Anything that old white guys in government don't understand, they blame. And it's just... It's hilarious. I've been waiting. I was like, we haven't had this one in a while.
You don't hear the other side of the spectrum, though, do you? I want to ban all video games because my son was playing Animal Crossing: Bright Horizon, and he built some decking.
Now that is a new story I'd love to read. He landscaped my fucking garden.
About they talk to a guy like he's all blacked out, just actor's voice, and it's like, yes, if I hadn't played GTA, I would have gone on a murder spree, but thankfully I had GTA as an outlet instead. You don't get that either, do you? I mean, you don't know. Yeah, thank you, Rockstar. You saved many lives. It's just basically in Illinois, there's been a spate of carjacking and violent crime recently, and you know what it is. It's lawmakers and stuff going, well, why is that happening? Is it because we don't pay people enough or have good enough mental health protections and look after people like we should? Probably not. It's got to be the video games, obviously. So it's just so funny.
I'm just saying, every time that an 18-wheeler truck drives by, it's got its ramp down and it's got it's unloading cars. Fair enough. Yeah, I have played enough Burnout to look at that and go,
I could ramp off that.
Slowly
Jump
veering.
Foot down. Let's do it. Foot down. Fire explosion.
30-year-old video gamer tries to replicate speed jump.
Things I've learned from video games. If I stand under something and jump up into it, I might get a reward.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that definitely has something I always try. I was also trying to Assassin's Creed around my neighborhood the other day, and I fell and broke both my legs. So that was unfortunate.
Video games!
Ban them all! Yeah, it's just hilarious.
So far, I have one Pokemon in my party, but I haven't caught him with a ball. I just feed him, it's video games again.
So my question is, how to what extent could this go? I mean, if we had video games being so bad and so addictive and everything like that, someone who plays Football Manager non-stop and is the best of the world, could he finally lead England to the World Cup victory that we need?
This is the point where I would like to be able to know about football
right.
enough to turn around and go, he couldn't do a worse job than who we have already. But I don't know who we have now, because that's how little I know about football.
And yet, Rob, he still can't do a worse job than this mystery man.
Apparently, for the sake of humour. These sorts of
when was the last time we won the Cup of the World? You know, so I don't know.
We won it at some point.
Right.
I don't know how far this will go, but considering we have people like AOC, Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez, she streams Among Us on Twitch. Games are going nowhere.
She's part of the problem, mate. She's part of the problem. Have you played that game? It's very violent. Very violent game.
See, you're saying this in jest, but that is what these sorts of people are going to turn around and say, that she is part of the problem. Because she's playing a game about murder.
She's perpetrating this filth, this depravity, and it's time we locked her up where she belongs.
How dare she be a mutant alien on a spaceship hunting down other people? Oh,
I feel we need a sarcasm sign for Ben, just so everyone is just so everyone is aware.
Right. Somebody set the alarm off. Okay. Right. Cyberpunk news.
The return of our segment. Oh.
Now I know Cam was really looking forward to this. We didn't have any last week because Cam wasn't here.
I'm just going to disconnect.
And now he's back, so we've got some.
I'm disconnect for like 20 minutes. Bye.
I'll keep it brief, mate. Now, we talked about a couple of weeks ago, didn't we, how they got hit with that the attack, they got the ransomware, they didn't pay it, but basically all this shit had to get locked down, which means the long-awaited patch has been delayed. So, could it get any worse? Yes, turns out it can. and the saga of everyone who wants Cyberpunk to be a great game, like me, continues for at least another month while we wait to see what this magical 1.2 patch is supposedly going to do to the game. I don't think it's going to fix everything. It's not going to suddenly make it into the game we were promised, is it?
I don't think it's going to fix even a third of what's wrong, to be honest, in Cyberpunk. I have a horrible feeling what's going to happen is it's going to fix a couple of major bits and then have more bugs on the update. That is my big concern.
Probably. I mean, they brought out hotfixes that caused issues previously, which then had to get fixed. Fixes that then had to get fixed.
Did they have to
that's the hotfix? Yeah, well, it was a warm fix on the hotfix. So the last thing you want is a cold fix, though. Those are really don't want those. So we'll leave it at that, Cam. Okay.
Hoping for a tepid fix next time. Just
tepid fix.
I will really laugh if these are actually programming and development code words that we're using. Yeah, they're just never made public, and we're talking absolute trash right now. I will like that quite a lot.
Just in the office.
How is that any different to?
How much do you want to fix Cyberpunk? Is it a hot fix or is it a tepid? Yeah, let's go with tepid this time. Yeah.
A simmering fix. Yeah.
A raging inferno fix.
Here's a game. Here is a game now that no level of hot, cold, burning fixes is going to fix, because EA and BioWare have drawn the line under Anthem and no more development is going to be going into it. And the rumored next, as they called it, Anthem Next overhaul has been canned, and they've just said, look, let's focus on Mass Effect, let's focus on Dragon Age. Rob alluded to this a couple of weeks ago, that they were in these discussions about what the future was, and they've said enough is enough. Anthem is done.
They have to.
I never played it, but Anthem isn't really that old, was it?
No, that's the worrying thing. It was 2 years old, if that. I highly recommend it. This is the thing. It is a brilliant fun. You live the Iron Man fantasy. Like
I'm halfway through the Thor fantasy right now.
Okay. It is just a really fun game, but it's got no legs to it. Once you finish the campaign and you do a little bit of the post-game loot grind, it's like I could be playing other games that I've done the loot grind more on, so bye. That's what tends to happen. That's certainly what happened to me. And it's a shame. I really wanted this game to do really well because it was so much fun. The 4 different battle suits you could use. I even forget the terms for the rigs that you could be in. I'm gutted that they have decided to just stop development. That makes me quite sad.
Well, I mean, it's been a little under 2 years since the game came out. So, what they said was last February. So it's been very radio silent on this for quite a while. Was that they were working on this update, For that was nearly a year ago. And I think this is the right decision. It is how, and it was an inevitable decision, I think, to a degree, because that scoping out what needed to be done, probably required a lot more money and a lot more people than BioWare wants to commit when they've got a new Dragon Age just around the corner, and then a Mass Effect, a proper new Mass Effect in the pipeline after that. And I think that's what people really want. I think we all wanted Anthem to be great. We really, really did. I know I was really excited about it, and I bought it on the day. I had it on the day it came out, and I put about 90 hours into it in the first week, and I absolutely annihilated that game. I beat it straight away. I absolutely loved it. But yeah, it was the post game, and it just wasn't there. We all wanted the new gas. We all wanted new games as a service. Us Destiny players are always looking for the next hot one of those. I'm going to be trying Outriders out, for example, this weekend, which has got the demo out, which comes out in a couple of months. But it just didn't hit it. It just didn't keep me grabbed, and it's a shame. But in addition to this news, we've got a knock-on news of sort of story, which is they've been told that at BioWare, because of the lack of success of this games as a service, because of the lack of interest in multiplayer elements to BioWare games, Dragon Age, the new one, is not going to have any form of multiplayer in it whatsoever. They are focusing entirely on the single player experience, and I think that's the smart decision for BioWare. That's what they do well. Let them do it.
Yes, BioWare thrive great single player stories, I feel.
There is one exception to that I wish they were still wanting to include. Some sort of co-op function. That
I'm not that bothered. I mean, what co-op games have they made that's so great? I don't think there are any, are there?
I love co-op experiences. Absolutely love co-op experiences.
I'm just talking about BioWare though.
Well, I don't know. I mean, Dragon Age Inquisition's like co-op multiplayer that they had there was a bit.
They didn't have co-op multiplayer, did they? Was it a horde mode?
No. Well, it kind of. It wasn't to do with the actual story itself. It was like you had like scenarios where you'd fight through.
Yeah, it's horde. Yeah, basically a horde mode, wasn't it? It wasn't story. There was no narrative to it, was there?
Yeah. It wasn't like a full narrative, but you could play as like different versions, different like kind of pre-made characters essentially.
Classes.
Different classes, and you can fight through together.
I don't think anybody really played this though.
Oh yeah, I did actually, because it was the only form of multiplayer for Dragon Age that we had for me and my friend, and we was like, let's have a game of this.
I really liked.
It's alright, but
multiplayer in multiplayer in Andromeda and Mass Effect 3, the full-on Mass Effect Horde modes. They were very good. They were really, really well made, especially in Andromeda, where the combat was the best it's been yet in the series, and they felt great. But look, I have no issue with them cutting that to focus on making an incredible narrative. You look at Jade Empire, you look at KOTOR, you look at the myriads of games that BioWare has made. They've really established themselves as this premier single player role player developer, and that's what they do. And let them do it again. I'm very happy for that. If that means they're not splitting off a team of 40 people to look at something that nobody's gonna really be interested in, that's great. And I think that's an evolution of the mindset of these publishers. For the longest time, the big boys were, get multiplayer in there because we need something to retain the player. Get multiplayer in there. We have to have them hooked in. Do you remember the multiplayer passes and stuff that you could only got if you bought the game new, and if you bought it second hand, you had to buy it. That was all publisher driven. But now we're kind of getting out of that now, and there's a lot more freedom. So it's great.
What I said before wasn't like I'm gutted that co-op isn't in there. It's the one multiplayer feature in big single-player experiences or big story-driven experiences that I really like, is having that option there to go through it with a friend, spend a couple of days just going through the story and making those decisions together and seeing what sort of world you come out with. It's something that is cool, but I'm not gutted it's not there. They're just choosing to go down a very specific direction, and that's fine. So many great games have come from that specific direction. I'm not gutted. It's. I'm
really curious, Rob. Not trying to criticize you here. I'm really curious because I can't think of any of them. What example? What games? So specifically co-op, but narrative-focused role-playing games, which just seems to be what you're talking about. What ones are we talking about?
Yeah, I was hoping you weren't going to ask me this question. I don't have examples. I just like co-op
because
in games.
Co-op. Yeah, no, because co-op to me is like Gears of War, right? Like, but they're not really. It's not really about story. It's a shooter, isn't it? So you don't. The problem with co-op in a really story-driven RPG is how do you do it? Like, are you both that hero protagonist and you just happen to be sharing a world, or are you somehow writing for both those characters?
You've always been
and
able to hop between party members. You have your main character.
Yeah, but that's not co-op.
I never said that
that's all
was
still
co-op.
Single player, isn't it?
I never said that was co-op.
just...
I'm leading to a point, but
fine.
you've interrupted.
Okay.
Like, you've always been able to hop between party members, so having another human able to control part of your party, that would be great. And having it closed multiplayer, you and I could spend 7 hours going through the game, and when those dialogue tree options come up, well, which one? Should we make this guy with this shepherd more of a paragon? Okay, well, let's go down that route. Oh, what should we do with the Geth? You know, that sort of thing. Having that option, I would quite enjoy myself. Because you can either play that with a significant other, or you can play that with friends like yourself. You know, you have lots of options to have that depth of player interaction experience, rather than it be just single player, because sometimes I can find those experiences quite lonely.
Sure, and that does sound cool. However, I suspect the reason we've never seen it is it would be really, really hard to make. Because
Probably, yeah.
how those decision mechanics play out when you're dealing with two people. What if you don't agree? Like, how do you? What if you like the two characters pick diametrically opposed options? You're going to need some kind of like something has to happen then.
Vote or something.
Well, but that then takes you out of the experience because that's not how that would work, is it, in that situation? So imagine if the two, that's just very gamey. So imagine, I would love to see this. It's like, what then happens if the two protagonists don't agree? I think that's really cool. Yeah. I mean, that is something, maybe they're looking at that because BioWare are very much, pushing the forefront of these types of experiences. Maybe we would see something like that in a Mass Effect. I'd be fascinated to see.
Yeah. And if it's
that was possible.
closed multiplayer...
You can imagine making a decision to either attack somebody now who's strong and then or to run away and come back later on, sort of thing, and save your skins. But imagining the characters then split up, so the two people that wanted to fight versus the 5 that's used to run away are completely buggered. That would be an interesting change.
It could,
it
could be very interesting story-wise. I think there'd have to be some sort of death protection in there, definitely enforced closed multiplayer, so no matchmaking options or anything like that. You have to invite someone purposefully into the game. You can't search for people unless you're looking for someone to play online. You have to go, Ben, you into this lobby, please.
No,
that could be a way around it.
I have thought of a game. It's not as decision heavy, but it is very narrative driven, and it is also about working very closely with someone else. That's A Way Out, which is the guys the EA game that is another EA game, I believe, and it was the guy who's always like, fuck the Oscars. That guy, remember him from the Game Awards? Everybody loves that guy. But yeah, that was kinda like, but not obviously as huge and sprawling as a BioWare game, but that was that very intimate, two people working closely together, having to get through certain challenges, based in the fact that there's two people working together. It's very focused around that. So yeah, he's all about that because obviously he did Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons before that as well, which is a really weird game. Because have you guys played Brothers?
No.
I know of it, yeah.
Right, so that's curious because it's not co-op, but it's two characters and you control them both using a thumbstick
Analog
each.
stick, yeah.
Yeah, which is weird, but kind of amazing, and it works really well. It's like, that shouldn't work, but it does. So worth checking out. That really good little indie game as well. Right, let's move on to a quick little news hit, and that's Henry Cavell, who is the sexy man who was Superman and also in Mission Impossible Fallout.
He's Geralt.
And The Witcher. I'd forgotten his most recent, proper credit. Yeah,
but
of course.
You bring up Mission Impossible over...
I love him! He's really good in that Mission Impossible film. He's really good in that. There's a bit where he reloads his pecs, and you're like...
Oh, he does the whole...
He kind of, pops his shoulders, and it's like, what is this? I love it. I'm married, but don't tell the missus, sort of thing. It's like,
I think Ben needs a moment alone with Henry Cavill.
Couple of moments, please. He's a good-looking man. But he did this Instagram post where he's reading something, or working on my next project, sort of thing, and he's blurred out the text. But they were able to, the internet being the internet, were able to pull out certain words from the blurred text, and it was all Mass Effect related. Things like Tali Zora, and I think one of them might have been Normandy or something. It's like,
I think one of them was Geth, wasn't it?
Geth and stuff. It's like, is he working? Is he working on a Mass Effect project? Because yes, please. Or is that just his fan fiction? I mean, who knows? He is a massive nerd. Maybe he printed out his own, shipping characters fan fiction for Mass Effect. Anything is possible here in the weird world we now live in during pandemic times. But I'm hoping it's a Mass Effect project, and that would be so cool. It could just be that he's going to be doing voiceover work for a new Mass Effect game, couldn't it? It could be that. That would be cool. But it could be a TV show.
If that is the case, that gives a lot away, because Tali Zora, I believe the Quarians, I want to say, or the Turians, I forget exactly what. It's Quarians, yeah. They have a certain amount of lifespan, so it's clearly going to be, if he is doing voiceover work, it's something related to the current Prime Mass Effect timeline.
I mean,
which is pretty huge.
You don't know that. It could be that
I think
Shepard and Liara stood over Tali's grave and cried. No, you don't.
I think Ben's just hoping that his man crush, he can watch Shepard putting it about on a TV series. I think
I'd love that.
I think Henry Cavill as Shepard would be.
He'd be amazing.
The greatest. That would be
half the universe pregnant in a series.
The Reaper's coming down. Sovereign's on its way down. Obviously, Cam doesn't get this. Someone's on its way down, and Henry's like, pops his shoulders. It's like, come on, then, I don't even need guns. These are the only guns I need. And
I'm the goddamn Superman.
Yes.
Cavill doing biotic slams. I mean, come on.
That would be so cool. Oh, look, just like fully cover him in makeup and make him a bloody Krogan. I'm down for that too. Why not? He can be a Krogan. Garrus. That works too. Oh no. There'd be too many deaths to heart attacks.
The fanfics.
I mean, look, whatever it is, if it does hint at voiceover, if it's just his fan fiction, like either way, he's a cool dude, and they're rebooting Superman as well. Fingers crossed he comes back for that, because he was a fucking incredibly good Superman.
That's been confirmed as Michael B. Jordan. Apparently.
All right. Whatevs. But Michael B. Jordan's a good actor, but like Henry Cavill was the best casting for Superman. The best casting for Superman.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You say he's the best casting for Superman. Did you not see like the the pre-production photography of Nick Cage as Superman?
Oh, I did. I wish I could have bleached my eyes out.
I say all of that with the greatest amount of sarcasm. Okay, I couldn't stand it.
I'd love to see Nick Cage.
I'm getting live updates from my wife, who can hear me from the other room. Seth Green should play Joker in real life, because obviously he did the voiceover work and looks a lot like Joker in the game. True, and doesn't have to do much either, because he's kind of got brittle bones. He just sits there, doesn't he, in his pilot seat? But absolutely, let Seth Green be Joker in real life. I would love. Look, come on, live action Mass Effect. That would be the coolest shit ever.
I think there is a significant precedence that something like that could happen. You've got one massive narrative, story-driven focus in The Witcher, which I think we can all agree has been slightly successful. It makes sense for them to look at other sort of licenses and properties that they could be able to use for this, and have a similar sort of concept.
Yeah,
they've gone for high fantasy with The Witcher.
Coming.
Yeah, they've got high fantasy with The Witcher and AC. So what's the other sort of big trope that they can approach with a degree of sophistication? Sophisticatedly was what I was going to say there. And that's sci-fi and space age stuff. And Mass Effect is the prime example of this.
The other thing to bear in mind as well is that The Expanse has been a huge success, right? And it's coming to an end with the next season at the end of this year. And when that's going to leave a gap in the market for that kind of hard sci-fi, galaxy spanning, do it with good effects, do it realistically, bring that, you've already got Mass Effect's already got all these amazing like elements that are across sort of the fan bases. It appeals to the women, it appeals to the guys, it appeals to, there's action, there's romance, there's soap opera, there's politics, there's all these amazing elements that's why it's such an incredible game. It would make a fantastic TV show. It really, really would. And you'd be gripped. You'd be 100% gripped. And to be honest, because there's so much in those games, you could adapt them pretty faithfully. You don't have to worry about, we'll just touch on it now. Then I'm going to do the thing I don't like when Rob does it, but I'm going to do it myself and say that we've got news of the Halo TV series coming in 2022, and I'm genuinely worried about that because there's not a lot of actual story. There are aliens. There's a really big space marine, and he kills the aliens. It's like there's not. Oh, and he's got an AI he's in love with, but she's a computer. nerds. I know that's something you dig, but like, how is that going to work as a TV show? I can't wait to see what they do with that to make that not one note and really boring.
Have they confirmed that they're going to focus on Chief for the TV
it's not
series?
confirmed much at all.
Okay.
Like, we really don't know. I think it's going to have to be a lot more than that. I think it's going to be like a war epic, isn't it? So that's the only way you can do it. Like saving Prime Ryan, bigger cast, bring in a bunch of Spartans instead of just Chief. You block it out like that. So I think
more of a Starship Troopers one there. I think really.
That film is so good. I love Starship Troopers so much, but yeah.
If I was making a Halo series, I wouldn't do it in the current timeline. I would backtrack to things that the books have covered, because there's a massive Halo expanded universe covered by books and stuff like that. I would cover some of those key storylines. I haven't read them myself. Not massive fans of them, but there is precedence for adaptations and fleshing out.
As long as you're talking about the human side of it and not like the Praetorians or Prometheans. I can't remember what they were called. The bloody Didact and the Librarian, which is some of the most boring shit ever created. But if you're talking about the Innies, right? So prior to the war with the Covenant, the kind of human controlled colonies were at war with each other. So the Innies, or the insurrectionists, there was like a civil war, which is why the Chief was actually created, was to deal with the Innie threat rather than the Covenant. The Covenant showed up. So there is some interesting kind of tension between the humans and stuff there as well, which I think you could do, but then lead into the Covenant showing up maybe at the end of season 1 or something like that, and build up the characters that way. I think you're going to get a lot of early John stuff. I think you're going to get him going through training and being modified and all of that stuff. But I don't know how interesting that is, but
I reckon it'll be a completely different Spartan. To make it work, it has to be, surely.
No, it is. You've not seen the casting for it then. It was a while back now, but it was. Do you remember? Have you seen any American Gods?
No. I want to, but I've not seen it.
Cameron, have you seen American Gods? Right, you know the leprechaun, the big, right? That's Chief.
Oh,
Chief with the shaved head. He's about 7 foot tall, isn't he? That guy. He's really tall, over 6 foot.
He's a big guy, yeah.
Yeah, and he's Chief. So they have done. I believe they casted Cortana as well. But the news for this has been so slow and so drip fed over so many years that it's really easy to forget what's actually happening with this show. And it's been delayed, and it's switched studios and switched networks, and it's like finally it sounds like we're actually going to get this at the start of next year. But I will watch the shit out of it, don't get me wrong, but I don't know, I'd be more excited for Mass Effect. I'm probably more excited for the Assassin's Creed TV show, just because I feel like those universes are more rich. There's more you can do with them. Obviously, Halo is a huge problem. I'd even be probably more hyped for a Gears of War one, because, again, there's history and there's, like, more characters to focus on, and there's more relationship. To me, the Chief is very singular. It's him and Cortana shooting aliens, and that's kind of all they do. So, I love those games, but, yeah, I did the thing I said I wouldn't do, which is...
Do we have a lineup? Do we have an idea of who's playing Cortana?
Yeah, I think there was. If anybody wants to look it up, I can't. I cannot be asked, because it could change. It could all be different by the time we see it. I don't know when they shot this, or if they've shot it, or anything. Like, it's all very up in the air. It's it was announced. It was announced so long ago that they were doing this now.
I do find it quite funny that you asked before.
It was originally announced by Steven Spielberg, because this was when, if you go back to the Xbox One era, when Don Matrick was trying to make it the Xbox One all about connecting with your TV and like making a big push into that multimedia market instead of a games machine. They got into bed with some big creators, and Spielberg was involved, and he announced this in 2013 that there was a Halo TV show, right? That is a long bloody time ago.
What is the television version?
Long time ago.
What's the television version of development hell? Because it sounds like this show's been in development hell for the past 8 years.
So I do have the Cortana casting here. It is a woman called
Jen Taylor,
Natasha McElhone. Natasha McElhone. I don't know who. I see a picture of her. I couldn't tell you what she was in.
To IMDb.
She's in Californication and The Truman Show, if that helps you.
No.
I kind of recognise her face, sort of thing. I could see her as Cortana.
Where did that come from? Because I've got an IGN story from November 2020 that says they've recast its Cortana actress, bringing in Jen Taylor for the role, who played Cortana in the mainline Halo games.
Oh. Okay, this was from the story on the Halo TV series premiering in early 2022 on Eurogamer, and then I followed a link to their story from 2019 with the casting news. However, IGN may be more up to date on that. I really don't know. This is what I'm talking about, though. This show has been in hell for so long and changed so many times that it was originally Showtime, and now it's debuting on Paramount Plus, which is the renaming of the CBS thing, CBS Live or something it was, which is where Star Trek is shown and stuff, Discovery in the US. So there isn't a Paramount Plus in the UK, nor will there be. So we'll probably get this on Netflix or Amazon or something, I guess, or Disney Plus. Who bloody knows? Somebody will get it. But yeah, filming was done in early 2020 in Budapest. Up to obviously it was interrupted due to the coronavirus stuff. 60% of the first season is in the can, according to this Eurogamer article. So it's not even finished yet, but it's coming out early next year. We'll believe it when we see it. I mean, I want to see it. It should be fun, but give me Mass Effect instead.
But I'm dubious. I'm not excited. I'm sort of like, okay, what are they doing with this? More than anything, it's a curiosity rather than a desire for it. Does that make sense? So,
yeah, totally, man. Somebody else want to talk about the next story? Because I could do with a break.
Oh, Stadia. Stadia's not had a very good time of it recently, have they? Bless them. No. So, they were having problems with their developers, and they were shutting down various bits. Unfortunately, what they didn't realise is that developers still want to publish bugs to their games. So when Google Stadia had turned around and removed developers' access to their own game development environments, it may have caused a couple of problems. So poor Stadia, they got themselves into a bit of hot water this week about that, because they lost the access for some of their devs to upload fixes and upload updates and that sort of thing. That has now been fixed. They are now back in, fully functioning again. That was reversed, but it's Stadia, much like CDPR, cannot catch a break at the moment.
So the game in question here was Journey to the Savage Planet, developed by Typhon Studios. Now, the thing that's it's just, guys, you made a bad choice letting them buy you, didn't you? So the Typhon Studios were bought just prior to the end of 2019. So they had a year and a bit with working under Google, and then were shuttered. Basically when Stadia shuttered all their devs, and put out that thing about we're going to try and find new homes for all of these people around Google. We're going to try. So I would imagine a lot of them didn't find employment within Google. So yeah, they're getting messages from users. This is broken. This is buggy. This is a mess. When are you going to fix it? And their response was, well, we can't. we don't work there no more, kind of thing. It's
Code is owned by them, not us.
It's just a bit grim, isn't it? It's just a bit grim. It's like, the fact that the game had issues and wasn't able to be fair, but they've sorted stuff out now to a degree, I believe, though I think it still has some problems. But yeah, it's just, this is Google. This is what Google does. It tries stuff. If it doesn't have an instant success, it gives it maybe a year of runway, and then it kills it. And it's just like, don't trust them with I always think of Cameron and his free Stadia setup because he was a YouTube Plus subscriber. When it first came out, when I was looking at getting it, they wanted 80 quid or something for the box that they then gave to Cameron for free less than a year later. And you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's for a controller and the Chromecast TV that came with it. I think that was like 50 quid on its own as well. But when you're paying £40 for a controller as well, all in one package. And yeah, as soon as it came through to me, even I was a bit gobsmacked because I was considering possibly, maybe, moving on to the Stadia because, I'm not able to play a lot of updated games that come out because I don't have a powerful PS5 or an Xbox in there. But obviously some of them are still coming out on Stadia. So I was thinking this could my side route into it. Apparently not anymore.
Well, I mean, they're still bringing out third-party stuff. They haven't canned the service. They've just canned their first-party development arm, and but that's not a good sign, is it? It's like if it just keeps limping on. But you've got to think, you have to wonder, don't you? What are the server costs? Because obviously Google obviously has a substantial server infrastructure. So is Stadia a massive impact on that business already, or is it something they can just let bubble along and bring in a bit of revenue, or is it operating at a massive loss? We don't really know. So I'd be very curious to say, does it last another 6 months, another year, or does it just kind of keep going in the background with the odd game coming out occasionally, you know, for an indefinite amount of time. But I personally think they're more likely just to kill it, because that seems to be what Google does. So I don't really know. They might even do the thing where they kill it and it's like, well, if you bought a Stadia's founders pack, like I was talking about, here's some Google credit, soz, you know, or something. I could sort of see them doing that as like a make good. Soz. But soz, here, have some free movies on the Google Play Store or something, you know, a couple of apps or something. I don't know. Soz. Right, I wanna get into the next story now, because this one is kind of a double whammy. We're going to talk about the Microsoft's Games with Gold offering for March, and then Sony's PlayStation Plus offering for March, and kind of compare and contrast the two. So I'll hit up Xbox, and then Cam, as the resident PlayStation man, you hit up PlayStation Plus, and we'll have a chat about the comparisons here. Right, so Games with Gold are giving us from the 1st of March to the 31st of March, what is that? Warface Breakout, which is a spin-off from the free-to-play Warface game, which is meant to be, when this game came out, I was reading about this, it's meant to be absolutely terrible. But I've not played it. I didn't hear any good things about it. And that's out for the whole month of March. And then from mid-March to mid-April, we're getting the incredibly named, and I have been considering this for a while, this one. So I'm going to play the shit out of this, because I love games like this. It's Vicious Attack Llama Apocalypse, which is like a roguelike sort of shooter, couch co-op, top-down, twin-stick thing. And that's been out since 2018. You know, it's a $20 game. It's a £15.99 game. It looks fun, but yeah, it is what it is. And then we've got
I'm now just going to order an Xbox just so I can get Vicious Attack Llama Apocalypse.
Oh wow!
Just for that game.
Talking about llamas. Here's a little segue to you. Did you guys see that Fortnite is getting Ellen Ripley and the Xenomorph skins? Did you guys see that?
What? How is this related to llamas?
You're gonna watch. Oh wait, did you see this news?
No. It's Fortnite, of course I didn't see the news.
Okay. Do you know llamas play a fairly large part in Fortnite?
How a llama?
They're basically the not necessarily microtransactions,
like
but it's the
the
opening packs, you know?
Yeah, llamas are a thing in Fortnite. So there's an emote, a chest buster emote that's available for this game, as you know, if you're using Ellie. And I watched a video for this, in which her chest explodes and out comes a llama, which she then sort of looks at and like pets, and then it goes away, and that's the end of the emote.
Okay,
I mean,
that's cool.
There's your llama connection. You guys were wondering what has Ben been smoking, but I saw this video and it's like really disturbing and then really funny, and like, isn't this game for kids? And then I remembered, no, Fortnite is becoming the Oasis from Ready Player One. Everything will be in Fortnite, and that includes
me.
It includes Ridley Scott's Xenomorphs and Ellen Ripley, and it's like, how is this in Fortnite? Kids shouldn't even know what that is, surely. But anyway, it's there now. So there's your connection. I will continue through these Xbox games list. We also have, from the 360 era, we have Metal Slug 3, which is a really good run-and-gun arcade game. And we also have Port Royale 3, which is like a city builder management game set in like a, you know, pirate era times, where, you know, you're dealing with like pirates and ships and building little towns, a bit like Anno games and stuff, but on a console. Yeah, they're decent. It's just this lineup. When you look at it, I always expect a marquee title, and Warface Breakout it's not really that. I don't know. These games aren't, like, 3 of these games I know aren't bad. I've played. They're all good, decent, solid games. Warface is meant to be bad, but there's so little excitement here. I mean, you know, it's a $20 game, a $15 game, a $10 game, and a $20 game. Is that they're the prices, right? And it's like, there's just nothing exciting about this. Cameron, tell us about PlayStation Plus.
So, it's been announced that our PlayStation Plus games going up for March are going to include Remnant from the Ashes. Which
Very good game.
If you enjoyed it,
played it on Xbox.
Farpoint as well, which is a PSVR
shooter
game. Yeah. Which I think I may have a little crack at. Break out the old VR headset.
Oh, Lovely.
When I had the VR headset, I did play Farpoint. I actually got the big gun thing for it.
Oh, okay.
I know, the plastic gun thing. I had a really good time with it. It was really, I mean, as much as I had a good time with any of the PSVR games, it's like, I played it for all of an hour and was like, yep, that's what that is.
That's VR.
That's VR, there it is. PS4 are also getting Final Fantasy VII Remake.
That's huge. It's
which
massive.
I haven't actually played since the original Final Fantasy VII back on the PlayStation 1, probably back in the 90s, I wouldn't to say. So I'll probably give that
So this
a crack.
remake is meant to be incredible, and I am honestly thinking about resubbing to Plus just to get that.
That was going through my mind as well. How much is 1 month of PS Plus?
Yeah. Not a lot, like £6, and it's like that is such a fucking good game. It's meant to be a great game. It's meant to be incredible. So
it's £6 for Final Fantasy VII Remake. I will take that.
Absolutely. What was there anything else? Cam, was it 4 games or 3 games? Or
There's 4. The last game is actually a PS5 one called Maquette, if that's how you pronounce it. Now I don't know if you guys have actually seen this one. A maquette is actually a sculptor's first model or sketch, and from what I can see of the gameplay, it's very similar to kind of like Superliminal, actually, if you played that, which was a really cool little
yes, me and Richard love Superliminal.
So it's like a first-person game that takes you into a world where every building and objects are both tiny and gigantic. So you can interact with the tiny sculpture model that you might be playing with, and that will affect the macroverse that you're actually in. So a little clip that I've seen, for example, he picked up this little kind of dice toy, dropped it onto this building, and it rolled off. And as he sort of turned around, this giant dice basically just sort of rolled into outside the building next to him.
Oh, cool!
I'm gonna give that a go
cool.
when I get a PS5. Which will probably be in about 5 years.
This is really interesting. I mean, so before we draw a comparison, let's just talk about this quickly. I mean, you've got a PS5 game in there, you've got a massive marquee PS4 game, you've got what was a AAA PSVR game. It's tricky to understand the interest people have in that because it's a very small percentage of actual PlayStation 4 owners even bought the PS VR, so it's kind of hard to work out. Your cat is amazing, by the way, Rob. I'm watching it in the background; it's incredible. And then what was the 4th game? Sorry, I've already forgotten.
Remnant from the Ashes, Final Fantasy.
Yes. So Remnant is a really cool kind of I call it a B game, I guess. It's not AAA, it's a B tier, but it's definitely more than indie. And that was in Game Pass, and I think it still is on Game Pass. And that's a really good game as well. Really cool, kind of almost like a Souls-like shooter is the way I would describe that. So hard, but shootery rather than melee. It's really cool game. That is a really, really, really interesting, diverse lineup. Puzzles, shooter, VR, and then, this incredibly well-regarded remake of one of the best JRPGs of all time in many people's minds. So that is just... I love that. But the difficulty, I guess, that PlayStation is having is... Right, so you've got a PS4 game, a PS5 game, and a PSVR game. It's they're all disparate user bases, which is quite difficult to cater to, isn't it? Because you might have somebody that just has PS4 without any VR. You might have somebody that just has PS5 without, VR. So they'd still be out. You can still play Remake, can't you? The PS4 Remake on the PS5. So that will cross over, I believe. So I think that's a great lineup. And then next month they've just announced. We'll circle back around to this, the PlayStation showcase in a bit. But they announced that next month is going to include the new Oddworld game, which is insane because they've been pimping that from E3 and stuff. This is a massive marquee title for them, and that's going to be on their PlayStation Plus lineup. I mean, that's mad. You draw these comparisons between these two offerings now, and it's what's going on? Microsoft,
there's two
PlayStation are going hard.
There's 2 things I will say. Unfortunately, this version of Final Fantasy VII Remake isn't actually being offered with the PS5 upgrade.
Well, the PS5 upgrade isn't out yet.
But it won't be available to, just pop up onto PS5 if you get this one. Yeah.
But you can play Remake back compat on PS5, can't you? I know I've got friends that are doing that.
I don't have one. I can't tell you.
I know you can. But yeah, it makes sense. You can't expect like a cheap or subsidized or free upgrade path for a game you didn't even buy. I mean, it's like, I think that's fair. I mean, it's like, I understand there's a business model there. It's a bit, oh, okay. We do you want to hear about this news from the showcase then? Should I drop it in as Cam is kind of already halfway there with what he just said? I'm going to drop it and I'm going to surprise you guys with this, right? So the big news from the PlayStation announcement sort of show they did was that there's things coming out called Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. Not upgrade, Intergrade. And this is this thing that's coming out on the PS5. Only on the PS5. And it doesn't just include visual upgrades. It's got a whole new set of like world missions and a whole new character. And you will not be able to get that on the PS4. So you have to if you're a Final Fantasy fan, to get the most out of your Final Fantasy experience, you got to buy a PS5, my man. You got to buy a PS5 to play this new character and these new missions. And they're not happy about that. Like, there is some pushback, I think it's fair to say, regarding this. And that was kind of like the big end of show announcement that they had.
Good
and yeah, it didn't go down great.
What I'm reading on the Kotaku page about the state of play PlayStation, it says if you already own the remake on PlayStation 4, you get the Intergrade for free.
Yeah, on the PS5. Intergrade is only available on the PS5. So you get it for free if you own Remake, but you only get it on the PlayStation 5. You will not get this on the PlayStation 4.
What?
Yeah, confusing, huh? Yeah,
okay, now I understand why people are pissed.
This speaks a lot. This speaks a lot to the kind of PlayStation's pretty shit transitional stuff that they're dealing with right now. You looked at Miles Morales. We've talked about Spider-Man around launch and stuff, and how this is all kind of working. You might complain, like I might have complained like last week a little bit about like the wording and the messaging behind Xbox's move forwards onto the new platforms and the terminology of back compat and all of that. However, every Xbox game, every Xbox One game, every Xbox 360 game, and every Xbox OG game you could play on your Xbox One X or S or whatever works on your Series S or X. Easy. They all work. It just all goes over, right? Except for like Kinect titles, right? Whereas PlayStation is just a mess. Like, this is the weirdest upgrade path. You bought the game on PS4, you got this new content. Oh, you get that for free, but only if you own the PS5. If you can get one.
For me, this is not a weird path. It is a money-grabbing path. Because the amount of furore and hunger for more Final Fantasy VII content after we waited so long for this remaster, or remake, whatever they're calling it, they're now essentially forcing this option on people who may not have the opportunity to buy a PlayStation 5, whether that's due to scarcity, due to funds, whatever. It's like, well, no, you can't play the game really as it should be because you aren't lucky enough to have a PlayStation 5, and I don't think that's right from a developer's perspective. But it's not something they're going to change. It's something that they have done once. People will have to do it, and then they will just keep doing that sort of thing when it comes to a PS6 and all that sort of thing in like 7-8 years' time. It's disappointing, but I am not surprised.
Yeah, it's it's just it seems to be the PlayStation way of doing things, doesn't it? Like they want to draw a line under their generations a lot more firmly than Microsoft wants to. However, they kind of want to keep one toe in the consumer look good aspect, which just doesn't really work.
I think they were hoping that would you get it for free on the PlayStation 5 would be a salve to people going about it. But they haven't realised just quite how passionately people are going to be objecting to this who don't have a PlayStation 5. Or even the people who do and go, well, that's still shitty. It's.
We've got. I'm saying in the US, like from a presidential level, that they're going to be looking into shortages of chips for the PlayStation 5. Literally, like, why are we dealing with that there's so much scarcity, for this hardware. It's getting looked at by really senior politicians now, and we talked about the story in the UK as well that came up, and now in America as well. And it's like, this is insane. Just make more of the consoles. People want them. Like, so it's absolutely bonkers, isn't it? It's absolutely mad. But yeah, that was the main story that came out of that for me. I didn't really see a lot else in that rundown of PlayStation news that really grabbed me as super interesting. Cam, you guys, did you see anything else? There's some nice looking trailers. Like some of the games look pretty good, but nothing super thrilling really. I feel like Cameron might be watching them right now.
No. I mean, I'm having a little flick through, see what's interesting that's coming up. Little things like the PlayStation 5 upgrades you're getting for Crash Bandicoot 4 coming as well. Which
I mean, that's your jam, isn't it?
I
that's
like Crash,
jam, baby.
I can't wait to get it on my PS5. But right now, I have to wait for like a week or so to go visit my family so I can nick my sister's Nintendo Switch and have a go. Which is kind of hard to do when you're working and we're still technically locked down. But
Bubbles.
Yeah, no one heard nothing there. No one heard there. I was quite excited to hear, this new Oddworld coming out, because Oddworld was my jam growing up. That was another game that the brothers and I all used to take turns, because even though there's a multiplayer, which is kind of strange enough, but it was only like until somebody died, basically, in the original games, which happened a lot. So at least we didn't have to wait for an hour for a turn at playing.
I mean, they always freaked the crap out of me, Oddworld games. They were like lemmings, but with personality. So the fact that you were killing them in all these horrible ways repeatedly kind of was a bit disturbing.
I think the disturbing thing is that you're killing them in horrible ways when you're supposed to be saving them, Ben. Did you not get the concept of the game?
I tried!
But don't forget, Cam, video games and violence. It's the murder. God. Yeah. How could you forget, Cam? How could you forget?
I forgot.
I dabble.
I
dabble in the murder.
I think we should probably
take away in games or violence.
We should take away video games. They're inspiring me to enslave an entire population to create bubbly fizzy drinks.
As a British man, that's a questionable thing to say.
Any man.
There was a bit funky news a couple of days ago that came out where Sony announced an improved PlayStation VR for the PS5 finally.
Indeed, that
is true. I mean, they kind of.
But dev kits have gone out, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, it was sort of a new. I mean, the reason I didn't include it was because it's not really news, because it's just a case of, this exists, but we don't have any details, we don't have any information. We know it's going to use one cable. I mean, like, great.
Yeah, for VR,
that's what they said. Yeah, I mean, they said that it's going to be one cable. It's going to be an improved field of view as well. It will come with a new controller inspired by the PS5 DualSense gamepad. So
it makes me think haptic feedback in a Move controller, basically.
I'm just hoping that we don't have to rely on the Move controllers picked up by the camera again. Just something like free use, like the Oculus controllers have. That'd be banging. I'd love to hit that. But that's gonna be for like another year or so potentially. So,
they said don't expect anything until next year.
It would have been nice if they'd had some sort of alpha thing to show off here, and like sirened massive not final game footage things and disclaimers on that. It would have been nice if they'd had something first party they could say was coming to that. But
what this felt like was, because it came out from an interview, I can't remember what outlet had it with this PlayStation guy, but I don't feel like it was a planned information. They asked him and he went, "Yeah, it's a thing. It'll happen. It's like, we're just sending the dev kits out. It's one cable. It'll be all right, innit? It's gonna be decent." Like, it just felt really like. That wasn't a structured announcement so much as I got put on the spot and was sick of being asked a question, so I was just like, yeah, it's the thing. Leave me alone. Also, we're making one. We want money, don't we? Jesus. So, stupid are you?
Should we circle back to where we started this set of stories from, with the comparison between the Xbox One and the 360 games on Games with Gold and the PlayStation offering? Because we've kind of got a little bit sidetracked onto the Sony State of Play show.
I mean, if you've got anything you want to add, mine is that my simple takeaway is there's no comparison.
There's absolutely no comparison at all.
Yeah.
Games with
Step
Gold
up,
for
Xbox.
months has been terrible. When corresponding value, when you're looking at the PlayStation. For ages it's been that. Ever since Game Pass was a thing, the quality of games with Gold nosedived. Because they had Game Pass as the feature they really want to be pushing, but when their main competitor is giving away free games, they don't want to not give away free games.
It's really difficult because people will assign different value to different games, and I'm sure there are games on that lineup which we all turned our nose up to a degree that there are other people that are really excited about. I mean, I think it's too easy just to say, dollar value, because the problem is there as well is that the Final Fantasy VII Remake has been going for as low as $25 in sales already. So it's a case of if you're doing it and Farpoint's going to be very little as well because it's a PSVR game that's not widely supported. And I'm guessing that cool sounding puzzle game isn't full priced either. So it's if you're actually just going money to money, it's probably not that different. It just feels to us that there are better offerings from PlayStation because they are more diverse, and I think they are a bit new. They're all a bit newer and they're all a bit more exciting. But people could be really into the idea of Port Royale 3, or people, Metal Slug 3 is an absolute classic game. So if you haven't played that, you should. But
the games themselves on Microsoft's offering may be good games. They may be absolutely fine. But the difference, I think, is the level of studio. Because if you look at the Final Fantasy VII Remake, it's AAA. That's the level of studio you're dealing with. That's one they're giving away for free. Whereas Xbox turning around and going, okay, that's fine, we're going to give you Gears 5. It's available on Game Pass, but for those who don't have it, you can have that. They
did give away Gears 5. They've done Gears 5 as gold.
That was an example more than anything. But
no, I think they did. Yeah, I just remembered that. So I think it was only a couple of months ago as well. It was like Christmas or something.
Yeah, but that sort of thing. Why can't they give away more AAA titles? More high profile.
The comparison is Remnant from the Ashes.
Yeah,
the comparison there is Remnant from the Ashes, because Remnant from the Ashes would be giving away as Plus, but it's a Game Pass title. It's not being given away with Gold. So exactly. I think that's your direct comparison, because you've got this other product, which is part of my Ultimate subscription for $10.99 a month. I get all those Game Pass titles. I get the games with Gold titles. It's all included, and that's what they want everybody on. That's what they want everybody on. They don't, they're really not catering for the people that are just using Xbox Live Gold. It's and as we saw with the price hike attempt, they want that gone. They want it gone. They want it gone. They want everybody to stop using that sub and to go for Game Pass Ultimate. And I get that. And they're clearly trying to persuade people to do that with these increasingly disappointing offerings. I think it would make sense, you just make Gold free. You stop giving away games. Stop doing it. Just make the multiplayer for free and don't give away games. And then that's a good look. People would understand. And then if they want the game catalog, you get Game Pass Ultimate. So
I think that would be a power move on their part, because it put the screws on PlayStation a little bit to give away their networking option for free, which they used.
But obviously, they're trying. They did. They were the other way around, weren't they? So it was like, it's really interesting, and it's like I think it's the opposite with them. They're doubling down on the quality of their offerings to justify the price.
Yes.
So I think
it's the right way to do.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense too. That's the other way, isn't it?
Exactly.
You're either additive, or you make it free and you admit the strategy a bit more.
Yeah.
I feel like that would be the end goal. I really do. I feel like we might by the end of the year see free Gold. I really do.
I'd be on board with that.
Yeah, because I'm going to keep with Ultimate. I mean, I'm not going to not have Ultimate. I love having that Game Pass library, and I like the fact that it includes EA Play now as well, and I feel like it's only going to grow especially when you look at like the offerings from like Luna with the channels they have. The concept on Amazon where you can have like the Ubisoft channels, you get all those Ubisoft games at launch. Like, I'd be up for that. Bring that kind of model to Xbox. I think that makes a lot of sense. So I pay another $5, I get all the Ubisoft games the day they come out. Yes, I would do that. For example, that makes a lot of sense. Right, this is now we move into the Rob news segment.
Yeah,
we've been going for over an hour now. An hour 15 on the news here. Yep. I told you there was a lot of news. So, right, Rob segment, hit us up, Robbie.
So, first part of the Rob segment is a Destiny 2 set of announcements and clarifications. So, this past week on, I think it was very early Thursday evening, on February the 25th, Bungie released announcement. Basically, it was an article talking about Destiny and how it's functioning at the moment, and to give some news and direction for its future movements. So, essentially, the TLDR of the article, which I will get Ben to put in the show notes as well, the full one, if you want to read it, if you're interested, is that the next expansion, The Witch Queen, has been delayed from the end of 2021 through to early 2022. I'm not sad by this at all, because it means that they can spend more time working on it to make it on the same quality level as the expansion The Taken King we had in the days of D1, which is still heralded as one of the best expansions ever. Yes, Ben?
That's a question.
Of course.
You may know the answer to this, but I have a suspicion they've not said. What are they going to do to pad the time?
We get another season.
We get another season. I was going to ask, do we get extended seasons, or are we just getting another season? This other season, are we paying for additionally, or is it part of what we've already paid for?
I will get some clarification on that one. I believe it is already included.
Good. That's the right answer.
What season is out right now?
Season 13 is out at the moment. So this will be season 15 that we're going to be getting in place of the Witch Queen. So I will have a look at that when we've got to the end of that and come back to this. So they're changing how the power number increases over seasons as well. Starting from next season, season 14, I believe, instead of it going up by 50, and you have to get a massive, great big grind through the soft cap to get to the pinnacle cap, and then that sort of grind, they're reducing it to increase by 10. So as long as you've got to the power level, like the 1300, if we use the current numbers, as long as you've got to that now, there's only 10 more until you're then having to do the hard end game grind, which means you can jump into stuff faster.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say, my only thinking is that you're taking away, like, a lot of goal there. I'm part of a clan. This is not me. I'm part of a clan who are incredibly high level Destiny players, and I watch them grind those numbers. I watch them go up, and it's remarkable how good they are at it and how quickly they will get up to these caps. Now, so that's why when I think they're only going to give it 10 more levels, they'll be there in under a week. These seasons last like 3 months. It's like, and once you're there, you lose a reason to play. So I'm not saying you lose all reason to play, but you do lose a reason to play. So I think I don't know how I feel about that.
This is to combat a big feeling in the community at the moment, is that all you're doing is chasing the bigger number.
So that's what people play these games for, isn't it?
They're trying to make that more impactful and more reasonable. Bigger power jumps will happen in expansions. They've confirmed that. When it comes to actual big fleshed out expansions, yes, you're going to get the big power number increases. But when it comes to seasons, they want people to be able to jump in. They don't want people... I'm in a situation now where I've not reached like the 1300 number yet. I'm still 1280, I think. So I'm still going to be struggling to get into higher level pinnacle content like Iron Banner. I struggle with. That's live, that's power enabled PvP in the Crucible at the moment. I struggle in that because I'm not at the power cap. And things like Trials of Osiris, raids, that sort of thing, you're going to struggle a little bit. So they're trying to narrow that problems down.
I haven't played it in God knows how long, and I'm still around like the 700, 800 mark, I think.
You will be 1100. I guarantee you'll be 1100 because that's what they've put the minimum.
Oh, they've upped me. That's very considerate.
You went up from 700 to 1100. You didn't even do anything.
Exactly.
Man, that's skills.
They didn't do anything. Mate, I'm pro. That's how good I am.
So they outlined some changes for PvP. I'm changing the order around a little bit because I can. They outlined some changes for PvP, their goals for the future of the Crucible, how they're balancing Stasis, the new subclass, the darkness related subclass in the game mode, because basically it's ridiculous. You walk out and you get frozen. So they're trying to balance that a little bit and bring that more in line. They're going to buff the light subclasses, nerf the Stasis subclasses so they're closer to that, and sort of equal rather than status being up here and light subclasses being all the way down here. So that's really nice. They're working on game security, they're expanding that to prevent cheaters, and they're trying to work on their endgame PvP Trials of Osiris as well in ways that I do not know and understand because I don't play Trials of Osiris because I am not that sweaty.
I mean, you do sound quite sweaty. I mean, you're going into a lot more detail than I expected, so you are quite sweaty.
Thank you. The very first Destiny raid is coming back next season. The Vault of Glass will be returning to us in Season 14, along with armor transmog called Armor Synthesis. So you can turn any legendary armor set into a ornament. So you can
you're gonna have to work for it.
There is a specific currency with a specific vendor, Ada 1, that you will have to either earn in the game or pay for with silver.
Oh, I don't know how I feel about this. I don't know how I feel about this. When I read that, I was like, oh, you are doing what? You are making us fucking have to play and pay for the armor transfer?
I'm fine with them making us play for it. Bounties, nice and easy, just add them, no problem. The pay for it option, that irks me. That irks me a lot, but I don't like MTXs in games. I don't like microtransactions. If content's been developed for a game for a set amount of time, I want to be able to get that content through playing. But anyway, that is a conversation to have on another day. The big piece of news that I'm leaving to the end is the fact that they have sunsetting. So,
explain that, because that's a weird terminology. Help some people out here.
Armor and weapons sunsetting was a big idea they had, that they're going to put a cap on the power number that you can get on a gun and to infuse it up to. You can only get it up to a certain number and then it's not available. It can't be taken up any higher than that. In a way to encourage diverse metagames of different guns.
So what we can call that, to help people out, I think, is planned obsolescence.
Yes.
So it's there is a lifespan to the weapon you've got.
Yes.
And it will become irrelevant because it's going to be shit compared to new stuff.
But they have they have decided to change their minds on that one. They're not doing it anymore because they've realised
it lasted like 3 months. It's great.
Yeah. Everyone has hated it because of how they've done it, so they're going, yeah, this isn't working, so we're just gonna anything that can be infused up to the maximum power now can just be infused to the maximum power forever now. That's fine.
Quite annoyed, a little bit annoyed, because I was getting rid of shit because it had those caps on it, and I was like, well, there's no point in having this, and I was getting rid of it out of my library and my vault. But I kind of see why they did it. Like, it's about balancing the game.
100%.
Right?
Yes.
So what are they gonna do without, like, this was their attempt to kind of like balance in a big swathe. Right, yeah. So instead of having to like go to every weapon, buff nerf to try and make it balance with the new stuff that they're bringing out, that's a huge amount of work. That's really hard to do. So what are they going to do now? Like, is that what they're going to do? Because that's the nightmare that they were dealing with. Because there was so much in the game that they just sunsetted a bunch of locations for a similar reason, that they wasn't getting used, and they were trying to they're trying to streamline the processes and stuff. And now they were doing the same thing with the guns, and now they've had to step that back. And I get it. People were really unhappy about it, and I don't think I didn't love the idea, but I did understand it. So, yeah, I don't know what you do now.
It is a little tricky. The other big bit of news that I left to the end is that in Season 15 we get full crossplay coming to the game.
Which means
we can all play together.
Play with Cam.
Yeah, yes. I can actually join you guys and be under-leveled.
Yes, we can carry you through content.
We'll get you up.
Yes.
We'll get you up.
And then we'll play Destiny. No.
Sorry, you thinking about Henry Cavill again?
I couldn't resist such an
Henry Cavill on Cam's OnlyFans again.
So
it's not something I want to see.
So it was a pretty huge week for Destiny news. The news has pretty much universally been positively accepted by the community in pretty much every goddamn way. I'm just worried for crossplay.
Crossplay is huge. I'm super into that, and we've got loads of people we know. Like, it's stupid because we've got friends all over the place on all kinds of different platforms, and not being able to play with people is the worst. It's just like, in this day and age, come on, let us play together. It's
about
ridiculous.
Time. Yeah.
The only issue I have is this sunsetting thing, because I get listening to player feedback, but you did it for a reason. and you've not come up with an alternative. So you're at least not. They've not said
They're
what
not-
it is, and it's just a bit of concerning to me. And it's just like, I believe in creatives having creative decisions that they make, and that's their decision. And then every time a developer gives in to player feedback because it's been gripey, you don't always get good results from it.
There's a difference
and often
between
players will regret it. So
there's a difference between gripey and how Destiny was being about sunsetting. The community, everyone was like, "That's stupid."
it's been hemorrhaging players for a while.
Exactly.
So I mean, I say hemorrhaging. It still does really well, but they have lost a lot of player base.
Even the big content creators that were in favour of sunsetting were like, "The idea is great, the execution is bad. Stop it." It's something that they are going to explore other options. They are going to look at different alternatives that they can go down, but they're not going to unsunset or obsolete everything you've got in your vault. It's just current stuff. They're making nothing else able to sunset down now. So it must be that they've got plans for some loot coming in the future in a couple of seasons. So that should be good.
A lot of news.
Indeed.
A lot of news.
Lots
Take a
of
breath.
Destiny
You've got some more
news.
now.
I know.
Take a breath.
Whew, so that's one of my main franchises out of the way. Here's my other one. Yesterday,
Now
Friday
both
afternoon...
both me and Cam now will have a nap.
Okay, that's fine. I will speak to you guys in a bit. No. Pokemon did a Pokemon announcement yesterday afternoon. It was a half-hour or so segment, live streamed on YouTube. I watched it live. I was quite enjoying it, and there was a colleague at work as well. He was watching live at the same time around various other bits, and we were watching as they finally announced the Gen 4 remakes for the Nintendo Switch. Long rumoured has that been. That is super good news. It's very interesting this though, because this has been outsourced to a different developer, which is something Game Freak does not do. They don't dip. Ben appears to have frozen in that lovely face expression there that you can see on YouTube if you've got the pleasure of watching us there. But they've outsourced it to a company called Ilco. I believe it's called Ilco. And with that has come a small amount of graphical changes. The main style of these games, Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, as they've been called, it's chibi style for the people in the overworld. The Pokemon still look the same, but the people who walk around the overworld, the player character that you navigate as, is more of a chibi style. I'm not 100% on board with that. I don't really like it. I'm still going to buy one or both of these because I'm a massive Pokemon simp. So
you heard it here first, folks.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to that. That'll be really, really good. That's launching I reckon November this year. They've just said end 2021, but November is when Pokemon games come out. So the other news they showed off, because Game Freak have apparently been having all sorts of original thought, which is a little bit scary and must be a sign of the end of the world, because Game Freak never do original thought, is that they're doing a precursor game. It's called Pokemon Legends Arceus, and it is set in an open world. It's basically Breath of the Pokemon.
You said original thought, but they just looked at Zelda again. It seems to be the inspiration for a lot of their modern games.
For them, that's groundbreaking and astonishing. That for years they have just been tunnel visioned into their own formula, and they've done something that fans have been desperate for years on the Switch. Do you still have like the Pokeball function? You still catch Pokemon, you still battle, but it looks like a massive open world exploration type game, which is huge.
I would say Pokemon of the Wild, but that's just a safari zone.
Yeah, pretty much. So it looks really encouraging. That's slated for release in early 2022. I'm really excited for that. That should be good because it's actually something different from Pokemon. It's not the same formula. As far as we know right now, it is not, you go round the world and you go visit these 8 gyms and then you punch some people who want to do something extreme and then you go and win. It's something unique and something different. Well, I say unique. At the moment, it looks to be something interesting, which I'm on board for. And
I will try that. No, I will try that. I will try that.
Interesting, actually. As an open world point, there may be like missions that you get given to go to this stadium in this allotted time for this this particular competition, that sort of thing. So
this is all set in the past. This isn't even set in like their modern day with gyms and stadiums that we've seen so far. So it could be that's not a thing. It could be even more open world than that. It could even be a complete turn on the formula. We don't know more of those specifics at the moment. We know Arceus is involved in the story somehow. Arceus, for reference, is the Pokemon god. I'm not kidding. He's the origin of creation.
God.
Yeah, he is Pokegod. So it's huge. This could.
I will
be
try
amazing.
this. I will try this. This sounds like my could be my way in.
Yeah.
So I'm up for that. Wow. Lots of news, guys. That is
Lots
a
of news.
lot of news.
That
this week.
is midun. So what have you guys been like gaming
Guys,
on this
you've got. I don't have a lot of gaming news. I've got some gaming related news I'll talk to you, but I really want to talk to you guys about two things in particular. I want to talk to Cameron about Valheim, the hottest new thing happening on Steam right now, and I want to talk to Rob about Control because he's finished it. So who wants to go first?
Cameron, you go first. I'm going to have a drink.
Go on, Cameron.
So, for those of you who have already had a go, or at least heard of it, Valheim is this new open world Viking setting. I don't know really how to explain it. It's a huge open world.
It's survival. It's a survival game.
It's survival. Yeah, it's survival.
Yeah.
You can build your base. You mine for like materials. You fight monsters. There's dungeon delving where you fight these higher level enemies. The whole premise is that you're in this world of Valheim that's kind of between the worlds of of Yggdrasil, the world tree, as it were, and you kind of, if there is an end game, I haven't got there yet, but the end game is to, to get up to Asgard and chill with the heroes and all that, and it's brilliant. I've been really enjoying it. It's not the most graphically advanced game out there, it kind of reminds me of like old school, not quite old school RuneScape, but it is that kind of that charming amount of kind of blocky texture that your characters might have, and the fact that there is this drop in drop out multiplayer you have as well is really cool. So you can start and play as one character, and you can play in your world and get to a certain level. And then if you want, your friend comes online, you want to join his game or he joins your game, you can then bring your character to that world and then continue building your stats and everything like that, but it won't affect your own personal world. So you could easily, like I did about 2 weeks ago, 2 nights ago, I'm very sorry if that person ever ends up listening to this, but I jumped into this random server and I stole all their shit. Which then saved to my character, which I then took back to my world.
Thief!
Vikings, baby!
Well,
Thief!
as someone who enjoys griefing, a bit of griefing from time to time, as Rob can attest to, I feel like I can have some fun with that.
I think I might need to
I went in there and I was like,
oh,
I've lost I lost my sword, I lost like the rag tunics I had there, I saw someone's base. They left the door open as they went off to like mine or whatever, and I was like, see what they had, and yeah, just like control, sneak around so they don't hear nothing. I'm like, I'm gonna take this and this and this and this and this. I'm happy with that.
Now, and what, do you just blink out of existence, or do you have to like get on a boat or something and
just
sail
log out.
away?
Just logged out and I pissed off.
Oh man.
You should have waited for them to come
That
back,
is so
waved,
cool.
and just...
What? So what this sounds like to me is like a bit of a mixture of like a survival game, but also like an old school MMO. Like it has kind of like that vibe of early WoW, from what you're saying to me. It's like it's got that, because you're grinding, you're leveling, you can play with people or not, you can jump in and out of servers and all this sort of stuff. It's got a bit of a WoW vibe to it, and that does sound fun as a combination with survival and base building.
It's really cool because I've got a friend's server that we all jump into when he finishes work and he's actually online. That's the only time we can get into his server because it's like a personal, almost like a LAN server, It's his world that he plays on that we just it basically accidentally break his shit in, and we've all worked together to get to make this big tower that when we all have our individual rooms, but we're all working together for like the betterment of our little community. The downside is that we've almost practically decimated like all the trees on this one island that we're on now, so we have nothing left to build with at this point.
Jesus.
Like I joined when there was like maybe like a 200-meter radius around the entire area that had just deforested. And now it's got to the point it's like, well, I think we need to start building some boats so we can actually move to the next area and get their shit over as well.
I don't know about you, Rob, but this sounds a lot like Isengard and Fangorn Forest. I mean, what is going on, bro? That sounds messed up. Building a tower, deforested the entire area just to industrialize your colony. You
so this is a private server that you don't have randomers appearing in, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Good.
It's all password protected as well for us as well.
Good.
You have those options.
Fault for not having a password, or
just cut it all down.
I need to put a password in to stop Ben coming in and griefing me.
I just never forget. I always have a memory of games like this. My overriding memory is early days of Minecraft, and a friend invited me to show me his house, and it was really impressive. And this huge like multi-story and like looked amazing.
Did you set it on fire?
Yeah, I did. I picked some lava out of a chest.
Bye.
No, lava out of a chest.
You lavaed it.
I lavaed it, and I put and I emptied it on the wooden floor, and it all burned. And he was away, and he came back, and it was just gone.
So
I'm never playing this game with you ever.
I didn't do it on purpose. I didn't know what I was doing.
You just said you went in, you found a bucket of lava, and went, I can pour this places.
I didn't really know what the effect would be. I didn't
it's
think
lava. That will cool everything right down.
Well, yeah, okay, fair, but like,
I
didn't understand.
I did that to a
consequences.
I did that to a friend's server in Minecraft with lava, but the thing is, though, his house was made of stone or some variety, so it wouldn't melt. So he was just like, "Can you like get rid of the lava so I can actually like go inside my house, please?" Because there's nothing else I can do. It's not going to burn down. So I was like, luckily I have a water bucket, and I just turned all of that lava straight into cobblestone, so his entire house was fucking covered in stone and buried under it. And he was like, "You son of a bitch."
You dealt with the lava, but you son of
just like, all F4 out of that one.
You asked me to get rid of the lava.
Yeah, lava's gone. You're welcome.
I'm never playing this game with either of you. Oh my god!
I think this game seems really cool. I'm gonna definitely have to check this out. And I'll segue that quickly, especially when I get my new PC, baby. Oh, I bought a PC this week. Comes in just over a week's time. She's a beast. She's gonna future-proof me. I'm really looking forward to having something I can upgrade as well, and just tinker with and constantly probably break, knowing me, but it'd be nice to have the freedom again. I haven't had a tower PC in a long time, probably like 10 plus years. So I'm really looking forward to that. 32 gig of RAM and the 30 series graphics cards and a nice AMD Ryzen processor, one of the new ones and stuff. And yeah, it should be a beast, and a capture card. So expect stuff from Switch finally on the channel. So I'm really looking forward to being able to do that. And get involved with you guys on PC gaming, which is something I've not been able to do properly for ages. And I'm going to check out Warhammer 2 and 3 when that comes out. And Total Warhammer. I know you've convinced me to give that a go. And I need to. You need to send in suggestions. What PC games should I be checking out? Stuff that I haven't played on console. Stuff that really my hardware can show off what it can do.
I would make a very strong recommendation for modded Minecraft specifically, because Minecraft is quite blinkered. Modded Minecraft is absurd. So,
yeah, I've heard things like the ray tracing.
Minecraft with RTX on,
the ray tracing looks awesome and stuff. I've heard, so I'll definitely trial that, and that sounds cool. But yeah, I mean that's sort of like, now from that we can segue back over to Rob and Control, which is a game that does look lovely with the ray tracing in the Ultimate Edition. No, he wasn't playing the Ultimate Edition, but he's finished it. And now do you see why me and Richard were weak? You get it.
Yes and no. I have morals. So,
Overrated.
a little bit of story.
I still haven't finished it either, so...
Good.
So
No,
good.
right. A little bit of backstory for me for Control. Last week at the end of the show, I went and we agreed on our Game Pass Club game. I need to download, and whilst on the Game Pass store, essentially, I scrolled past Control when I was looking for Falconeer and thought, do you know what? Fuck it, and I downloaded it. And I queued up Falconeer at the same time, and went off and then go and have my lunch and so on. Came back and played Control and did not put it down until the Tuesday. Did not play a single other game. I did a mistake. I regret playing it the way I played it and not being more explorative throughout the game because I saved all the side quests to the end. And I regret doing that.
Why? Just a specific reason, or just that you were too
I've
quick
now,
through it? Or?
Yeah, too quick through it, and I've now walked away from the game. Not permanently and not consciously, but this weekend I will be playing some Destiny then, tomorrow afternoon. I'm trying to record something else as well. I've got a game to review as well. You know, it's something that I'm not 100% sure exactly when I'm going to go back and finish off these side quests. Because...
Did you do... No, you didn't have the DLC, did you?
No, I haven't done the DLC. But I really enjoyed the story. One of the pivotal standout moments for me is that labyrinth.
Oh, it's so good. The music is so good.
You get the cassette tape or the cassette recorder, and then you go to the labyrinth. That next half an hour, I was on my sofa, spent after that. I was literally one of the most amazing sequences because Control has forced me to, just of its sheer quality, has forced me to do something I don't do a lot, and that's game on my sofa in front of my TV because I'm almost always multitasking. My gaming PC rig set up at home has 3 screens across my desk. You know, I have one screen there that has access to a cable that is linked to my Series X, so I can sit and play Xbox games. Like last night I was playing Destiny with some friends. I was on Discord on my PC while they were playing other games. I was chugging away on Destiny nice and happily at my desk, and I tried doing that with Control and I hated it. So I went back to the sofa, back to the TV, back how it was meant to be played. And it's so much fun. 100%, it is an amazing game. I agree with everything Ben and Richard say about how awesome it is. It is a phenomenal game. I still hate the developers. Hate the devs for it.
Publishers.
Well, the publishers, yeah. The
505.
Yeah. How they have decided to go down that route, I absolutely despise and think it is a blight on gaming.
Yeah.
Bugger me, it's a good
Control
game.
our Game of the Year last year?
2019 Game of the Year.
2019 Game of the Year,
Yes, it
yeah.
was.
So,
Wow.
it was...
It was indeed.
Anyone who hasn't played it yet, play it. Play it now. Go, pause this podcast, go and play Control, then come back and enjoy. Like,
Circling back to a previous story, I'm pretty sure Control was on the PlayStation Plus either last month or the month before.
It was. Yep. It was. I believe it might have even been the Ultimate Edition. I think
I believe so, yeah.
It might have been as well. Yeah, which is pretty cool. Yeah, it's just phenomenal. I mean, I was just talking to you guys about beforehand. There's an art book for it, which is meant to be one of the best coffee table art books ever produced for a game. That's just come out. It came out at the end of January, I think, or early this month. And I might have to pick it up just because it's... I mean, one of the things that's so incredible about Control is the art design and the level design and everything about that is so cohesive and everything is so thought out to give you that singular experience and to suck you into the world. It's almost like the gameplay is secondary. I mean, the gameplay is really good, but like the world is what makes that game so compelling.
for me, it's the gameplay.
Yeah, I mean, it's really good. It's the pinnacle of what Remedy has been doing ever since Alan Wake, combining certain mechanics, like with certain supernatural abilities, with gunplay and third-person action, and it really does hit a sweet spot with Control. I mean, you feel like with Jessie, as you develop with her and you learn her abilities and you get more comfortable, you get another new thing and another new thing and another new thing and another gun and another ability and you've upgraded that and it now does this, and you can make do that thing, and then you can link that with that one, and it all comes together. And the harder the challenges you face in the side quests, especially,
that
fridge, and then you unlock more and more stuff. It all comes together, and it's just so good.
That motherfucking fridge. Swear to God. Not going to say why or how, but that fucking fridge. The labyrinth was an amazing sequence. That was absolutely phenomenal. And the bit just before the end, I'm not going to give specifics in case when everything's red, and you're going through that sequence, the fact that they change it just enough, I thought that was a really, really good decision, because you get that power fantasy moment again. So, but yeah, sweet spot, amazing game. Just play it.
So good.
Yes.
So very, 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 very good. I think that brings us to the end of this podcast, though, boys, doesn't it?
Indeed, I think it does.
Lots of news.
No tidy time.
You might have noticed no topic again this week, just because there was so much news. But we will come back to those sort of things when time allows. But,
I think we had a couple of kind of mini topics. I think this week
we did. We went on. We had some discussions, didn't we?
Yeah,
it was
Game
good.
Pass bits. And then obviously I talked about Destiny for probably longer than I should have. That sort of thing. So mini topics. Yeah.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed another episode of Experience Kills. I've been your host, Ben. You can find me at DIYE on Twitter. You can find Cameron at Camelot on Twitter. And you can find Rob at Homeless Mr. Gibbs on Twitter. You can find us collectively at Experience Kills on the tweet sphere. In addition, if you've watched this on YouTube, please give us a like and subscribe. Maybe even turn on that weird notification bell thing that you can do, and to let you know when we've got a new video popped up in your inbox. I mean, that's nice, isn't it? That'd be a nice thing. Hey, what's up? Because, we do other stuff other than these podcasts. We do video reviews. Well, I say reviews. We have a chat. There's 2 of us on each one. And we just sort of discuss the game, pros and the cons. And then let you decide, really, if it's something you want to pick up or not. We're not here to tell you to buy stuff. It's much more of a case of, I enjoyed that. Or, it wasn't that great. And we've got more of those coming up this week and this weekend and everything. So keep an eye out for those. And also, if you are watching on YouTube, and you don't have as much time as you'd like to sit down and watch 2 hours of 3 talking heads spitting about video games in your general direction, you can also take us on the go with a podcast if you so wish. We are available on just about everywhere a podcast can be found, including your smart home devices. That all you've got to say is play Experience Kills. I'm being careful now, Rob. I'm being careful.
I was going to try and trap you.
Yeah, I know. and while you're listening, in the kitchen and stuff, you can listen to us lull you into a false sense of security and probably a coma around video gaming. So just ignore the world and think about video games. That's how I cope. But yeah, that's everywhere we're at. Keep an eye out for all of our amazing content. We're gearing up for more as the games start coming in again this year and stuff. And got a couple from Cameron. You're gonna have a couple from me. You got one coming from Rob. You never know. Richard might pull his thumb out as well at some point. So if
there are any games you want us to talk about, by all means comment on our podcasts and on our videos as well. We love to get some. We've got
a new thing coming, which we're going to test. Rob's come up with some stuff, and we're going to be bringing out some new types of videos maybe very soon, and that'll be quite exciting. Always trying new stuff here. We have a weird, I'm going to throw it out there. We have a weird side thing I do with a friend about sliders, which is also on the YouTube channel and as a podcast. It's called Circling the Vortex. If you want to hear us talk about sliders episodes, if you even know what that is, by all means, listen and subscribe to that as well. It's very funny. I do say so myself. I was laughing at my own jokes the other day. It was very funny.
Yeah, but you always do that.
Yeah.
Someone has people to do that. Yeah.
Do that. Yeah, that is true. Someone has to do it. Right. So I think that's enough pimping of shit. We'll be back next week with another one of these podcasts, I promise. But in the meantime, check out those videos. Have a good one, guys. I say bye. Bye. Bye, everybody.